Section of high-yield questions and answers for GS Paper 3, Economy, specifically focusing on investment models. These questions cover core concepts, contemporary relevance, and critical analytical angles. Section A, Conceptual and Structural Models. Question 1. What do you understand by the Public-Private Partnership, PPP, model? Discuss the major challenges faced by PPP infrastructure projects in India and suggest a way forward. 15 marks, 250 words. Answer. Introduction. Public-Private Partnership, PPP, is an arrangement between a government, statutory entity and a private sector entity for the provision of public assets and/or public services. It leverages private sector efficiencies, finances, and technology while ensuring public accountability and risk-sharing. Major challenges faced by PPP projects in India: regulatory and clearance delays, bureaucratic red tape, delays in land acquisition, and environmental clearances often lead to massive project delays and cost overruns. Aggressive bidding. Private players often overstate projected revenues, e.g., traffic estimates in highway projects, to win contracts, leading to unviable projects later. Twin balance sheet problem. Highly leveraged private companies and rising non-performing assets, NPAs, in the banking sector have severely choked credit flow to infrastructure. Asymmetric risk allocation. Traditional PPP contracts historically pushed a disproportionate amount of risk, like land and clearance risks, onto the private partner. Inadequate dispute resolution. Institutional mechanisms to resolve contractual disputes are slow, locking up massive amounts of capital in litigation. Way forward, based on the Kelkar Committee recommendations, rebalancing risk, move from a one-size-fits-all model to structures like the hybrid annuity model, HAM, where the government bears the initial financial and execution risk. Strengthening institutions, set up an independent regulator and infrastructure-specific tribunals for faster dispute resolution. Flexible contracting, allow for the renegotiation of contracts under strictly defined, transparent guidelines to handle unforeseen macroeconomic shocks. Deepening bond markets, develop a robust corporate bond market to provide long-term financing, reducing reliance on commercial banks. Question 2. Compare and contrast the Build Operate Transfer, BOT, and Hybrid Annuity Model, HAM, of investment. Why has HAM gained prominence in recent infrastructure development? 10 marks, 150 words. Answer. Introduction. To plug the infrastructure deficit, India has evolved its investment models from pure government funding, EPC, to shared risk models like BOT and HAM. Comparison table, feature. Build Operate Transfer, BOT toll, Hybrid Annuity Model, HAM, financial risk 100% borne by the private developer. Shared, 40% by government, as grant, 60% by developer. Revenue risk. Private developer collects toll, bears full traffic risk. Government collects toll, pays fixed annuities to the developer. Land acquisition. Developer faces hurdles before project kickoff. Government ensures 80% land clearance before awarding the contract. Reasons for the prominence of HAM: reduced financial burden. By funding 40% of the project cost during construction, the government lowers the debt equity pressure on stressed private players. Zero traffic risk for private players. Because the government pays a fixed annuity regardless of actual traffic volume, it insulates developers from market fluctuations, reviving private sector interest. Faster execution. Linking clearances to project awarding ensures fewer administrative bottlenecks. Section B, Analytical and Contemporary Application. Question 3. Investment in infrastructure is a prerequisite for rapid and inclusive economic growth. Evaluate the role of the National Infrastructure Pipeline, NIP, in this context. 15 marks, 250 words. Answer. Introduction. Infrastructure development acts as a multiplier for economic growth. It reduces logistics costs, enhances industrial competitiveness, creates employment, and improves the overall quality of life, making growth structurally inclusive. Role of the National Infrastructure Pipeline, NIP. The NIP is a first-of-its-kind, whole-of-government exercise to provide world-class infrastructure across the country. Crowding in private investment. By providing a clear, well-mapped project pipeline, it offers visibility and confidence to global and domestic investors, reducing project search costs. Balanced funding mix. It implements a joint funding structure, 39% by the center, 39% by states, and 22% by the private sector, promoting cooperative fiscal federalism. Logistics efficiency. Major allocations to sectors like roads, railways, and energy directly feed into initiatives like PM Gati Shakti, aiming to bring India's logistics cost down from approximately 13% to globally competitive single digits. Social infrastructure and inclusivity. Beyond hard infra, transport, power, NIP heavily targets social sectors like rural water supply, Jal Jeevan Mission, digital connectivity, and healthcare, bridging the rural-urban divide. Challenges to realizing NIP's potential. Fiscal space of states. Many state governments face tight fiscal constraints, making it hard to match their 39% funding quota. Long-term financing. The lack of deep DFIs, development financial institutions, and long-term pension, insurance fund mobilization limits steady capital flow. Conclusion. NIP is not just an investment ledger, it is a blueprint for structural transformation. For it to succeed, it must be supported by asset monetization strategies, like the National Monetization Pipeline, to unlock idle public capital. Question 4. Explain the concept of the investment-led growth model. How can India transition from a consumption-led growth engine to an investment-led one? 10 marks, 150 words. Answer. Introduction. An investment-led growth model focuses on capital formation, building factories, roads, technology, to expand the economy's productive capacity, which sustainably drives employment and wages, ultimately fueling stable long-term consumption. Strategies for India's transition: public capital expenditure, CapEx, continuing the aggressive fiscal push towards public asset creation to crowd in hesitant private investments. Ease of doing business, EODB, streamlining single window clearances, rationalizing land acquisition laws, and ensuring policy predictability to attract foreign direct investment, FDI. Financial sector reforms, resolving banking sector stress and supporting alternative investment avenues like infrastructure investment trusts, InvITs, and real estate investment trusts, REITs. Manufacturing incentives, leveraging schemes like the Production-Linked Incentive, PLI, to turn India into a global value chain hub, transitioning from low-value services to high-value manufacturing capital.